If you've watched pro tennis lately, you've probably heard of a windshield wiper forehand, and it's a specific type of forehand you can hit. Opposed to a classic forehand where you hit and then follow through up around your shoulder, on the windshield wiper you hit and then the racket comes up, but then it comes back down, and you can see that the follow through kind of looks like a windshield wiper blade as I follow through. Now, why would you want to hit a windshield wiper forehand? Well, this type of forehand, the way you hit it allows you to generate a lot of topspin and still hit very, very hard. And that extra spin is important at a higher level of play because most players can already pound the ball. So what they're looking for is consistency. That spin will pull the ball in and allow you to hit higher above the net, get more margin for error, and that extra spin will allow you to generate more angles and move your opponent around the court more effectively. Now, how exactly do you hit a windshield wiper forehand? Well, before we get into that, I want to make a brief note about your follow-through. The way you follow through for any shot in tennis depends on how you were swinging prior to and at contact. It's the smoothest way, or at least it should be the smoothest way to decelerate your racket after you hit. So what you can't do with the windshield wiper is take classic mechanics and then tack on the windshield wiper finish. That doesn't work, and you won't hit a windshield wiper forehand. More generally, let's just assume this is my contact point, and I'm going to swing straight through the tennis ball, and when I do that, now the racket is on edge facing the camera. You can't see my strings. If I go back to contact and now I swing straight up, you can see my strings the whole time. I'm just lifting the racket up. If we take this a step further and I hit a classic forehand where I'm coming pretty much through the ball, I hit through, now the racket ends up more or less on edge, and I bring it up around my shoulder. But now if I swing up a little bit more, I'm going to swing up as opposed to through, my racket strings will stay facing the camera more than they would if I was hitting a classic forehand. And you'll notice on the finish, I'm turning my arm over as opposed to extending up, continuing to extend up, because this is an awkward way to follow through. So after you hit and the ball is well off your strings, you'll turn over at the shoulder, and this allows you more time to decelerate the racket. Let's start by looking at my classic forehand and my windshield wiper forehand from the front. We've got them split screen here. The forehand to my right is my classic forehand, and the one to my left here is my windshield wiper forehand. And as we play these two forehands forward, I make contact, and when I follow through, on the windshield wiper forehand, during my follow through, you can see my strings, but on the classic forehand, my racket ends up on edge. You can't really see my strings too well. And again, that's because of the direction I am swinging prior to and at contact. If we now clip to the side view, same relationship, the one further away is the classic forehand. We got the windshield wiper to my left. What we're going to do is draw a line between my swing paths prior to and at contact. And what you're going to see when we do that is clearly on the windshield wiper, I have swung up on the tennis ball more. And on the classic forehand, I'm swinging through it a little bit more. And again, because of the direction I was swinging on the windshield wiper, up on the ball, that's going to cause my follow-through to look different than the classic forehand. It's going to cause my racket to look like a windshield wiper, my racket, my arm, as I follow through and complete my motion. Now, how do you practice developing an effective windshield wiper forehand? Well, the way I like to think about it is as I swing up to the tennis ball, what I want to do is attack the ball with the top edge of my frame. So assuming I'm hitting the ball this way, as I swing, I attack the ball with the edge of my frame, almost like I'm trying to hit it with the frame, and that will get me swinging up across the tennis ball, lifting up when I make contact. Now, when you practice this shot, chances are when you're beginning, you're going to frame a bunch of balls. You'll probably dump a bunch of balls in the net. There'll be a lot more topspin on the ball, so it'll be pulling down earlier than you expect. So what you're just going to have to do is hit about 10,000 ground strokes and just really work the technique. But I promise you, you hit enough balls and you use the correct technique, you will develop an effective windshield wiper forehand.
Oh.